Hello everyone. So kule video ngizodiscussa ama-solutions waka activity 4 ebengiyisende as i-homework or in i-exercise lapha egroupini. So yeah, ngaphandle ukuthi simoshe isikhathi asivele siqalele ama-questions. So sino activity 4. Question 1 bathi determine the sum of the series 19 plus 22 plus 25 plus all the way to 121, right? So in a series party, that's question 1, ne? But he okay, jamang pale la. So no, question 1, but it's 19 in a series 19 plus 22 plus 25 plus all the way to 121, right? Basically determine the sum of the series. So amanye amagama bathi sifune u-SN, right? Bathi sifune u-SN. So into yokuthoma ekose siyenze lana ukuthi sicale ukuthi what type of a series is this? Is it a geometric series or it's an arithmetic series? So sibona njani? We first check if we have a common difference or not. So ukuthi ba move from 19 to 22, we can see ukuthi they added 3. Ukuthi ba move from 22 to 25, we can see ukuthi they added 3. So this means that a common difference here too is t equals to 3. And then in the first term lapha ingu 19, so a is equals to 19. So therefore we are dealing with an arithmetic series, right? So siyazi ukuthi ama formula siwasebenzisa, it's n is equals to n over 2 a plus the last term, or this formula here, Sn is equals to n over 2 2a plus n minus 1 d, right? So we have this series, it has n number of terms. Asazi ukuthi how many terms are there exactly. So into kumele siyithole ukuthi sithole ukuthi i-term layer, the last term is term number ngakhi. This term 121 kumele sithole ukuthi u-term number ngakhi kule series. So ukuthi senze lokho sizothoma sifune iformula ka Tn. So kukhona abenza imistake yokuthi because babona ukuthi i-term yokugcina it's 121 and then they just assume ukuthi siyofuna u-S121. That is not correct, right? So kumele ufune u-n first, right? So ukuthi sithole u-n sizothoma ngeformula yaka Tn. So Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 d, because we are dealing with an arithmetic series, right? So a is the first term, it's 19 plus n minus 1 d, and then substitute i-value ka d usijwayeza ukusebenzisa ama brackets, because if it's negative usesenokwenza ama mistakes lapho, right? So i-formula yaka Tn is 3n minus 3 plus 19, right? So the formula yaka Tn is 3n plus Tn plus 16, right? So it's Tn plus 16, right? So ukuthi sithole i-term layer, term 121, substitute to 121 lana and equate that to our formula for Tn, right? This implies that n is equals to 121 minus 16 divided by 3. So n is equals to 121 minus 16 divided by 3. So n is equals to 35, right? And then so singakhona calculate S35 now using this formula here. S35 is equals to Sn is equals to n over 2, the first term plus the last term, right? So know Sn is equals to 35 over 2, the first term is 19, the last term is 121, right? So S35 is 35 over 2, 19 plus 121, that's equals to 2450. It's 2450. So solution yaga question 1 leyo. Okay, and then see question 2, right? So let's create a space for question 2. Okay, so question 2, but the sum of the series is 21 plus 22 plus 34 all the way to whatever is 1870. Determine the number of terms, right? Okay, sibhalelana. That's question 2, but we're looking at the sum 22 plus 28 plus 34 and so on is 1870, right? So the sum of these terms is 1870, but sifune how many terms are there, right? So thina lana basinikele u-Sn, right? Basinikele ukuthi Sn is equals to 1870. So kumele sifune u-n, right? Sikwazi ukuthola ukuthi ukuze sithole u-1870, how many terms did we sum, right? Okay, so ukwazi ukuthi sizosebenzisa yiphi formula yaka Sn, sizosebenzisa the geometric one or the arithmetic one. Kumele sicheck ukuthi is this a geometric or an arithmetic series, right? So ukuthi sicheck, okay, ukuthi sicheck lokho kumele si check for a common difference, right? So ukuthi ba move from 22 to 28, what happened? To move from 22 to 28, they added 6, right? And then to move from 28 to 24, they added 6 again. So this means that our common difference is 6, and then the first term is 22. Because we have a common difference, it means we have an arithmetic series, right? Therefore we can use this formula Sn, right? Because we have an arithmetic series, we can use this formula. Okay, so thina basinikelile u-Sn lapha, basinikele ukuthi Sn is 1870, and then we can substitute value a, which is 22, and then plus n minus 1, and then value d, which is 6. Okay, so now mase simplify sizoba no 1870 is equals to multiply out 2 throughout kulama brackets uthola uzoba no n times 22 plus n minus 1 times 3, right? So which implies that 1870 is equals to 22n plus 3n squared minus 3n, right? So 3n squared is equals to 3n squared plus 19n minus 1870 is equals to 0. now we have a quadratic equation, so we can use the quadratic formula to solve for n. Quadratic formula ikhona ku formula sheet. So n is equals to minus 19 plus or minus the square root of 19 squared minus 4 AC 1870. So ile formula le a quadratic formula but minus x is equals to minus x plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. In our case a is 3. So if ukwazi ukufactorize, you can straight away factorize this, right? But then mina ngiprefera ukusebenzisa i-quadratic formula. Okay, so mawuphatha i-calculator yakho uzothola ukuthi n is equals to 22 or n is equals to minus 85 over 3, right? And then ekugcineni kumele ustate ukuthi because you have two values of n, ngiyiphi right la, so you will choose the positive value of n. So you say n has to be positive, right? Therefore n is equals to 22. Because we are counting, n has to be positive, therefore n is 22. Uzokuthola imark ku exam for state ukuthi n has to be positive, therefore n is 22. Okay, so that is question 2. Now moving to question 3. Asithome ngokusula la. Okay, okay, moving to question 3. Question 3 bathi, given the arithmetic sequence, okay, given the arithmetic sequence minus 3 1 5 up to 393, determine a formula for the end term of the sequence. So bayakutshela ukuthi you have an arithmetic sequence there, therefore you know ukuthi you have a constant difference, right? So uzokusebenzisa i-formula yaka Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 times d, right? Because they tell you ukuthi it's an arithmetic sequence, therefore you know ukuthi uzosebenzisa i-formula yaka Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 times d. So usithole i-common difference cala. So sine sequence 393, right? So common difference ukuthi ba move from minus 3 to 1, they added 4. Ukuthi ba move from 1 to 5, they added 4. Therefore a common difference is 4. First term go minus 3. Therefore for question 1, Tn is equals to 4 plus n minus 1. Sorry. So the formula yaka Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 times d, right? And then a is minus 3, n minus 1 times d is 4, right? So we have 4n minus 4 minus 3. So the formula Tn is 4n minus 7, right? And then the formula Tn leyo, right? So formula Tn is 4n minus 7. uzoyibhala la 4n minus 7, right? So Tn is equals to 4n minus 7 lapha question A. And then question B, but to write down the 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th term of the sequence. So bafuna T4, T5, T6 and T7. So now substitute our 4 kule formula ya Tn lapha ku A, uzokuthola ukuthi T4 is equals to T4 is equals to 4 times 4. Okay, I'm going to press the calculator quickly. 4 times 4 minus 7, so total T4 is 9. T4 is 9, right? And then T5 is 4 times 5 minus 7. T5 is 13. And then T6 is T4 times 6 minus 7. T6 is 17. And then T7 is T4 times 7 minus 7, so total that's 21, right? Okay, so siyadlula ku B, siya ku C. So write down the remainders when each of the first 7 terms of the sequence is divided by 3. So a remainder is that number which is remaining after you have divided, right? So abaningi benu bakayitholi this one because I think mhlambe and understand the meaning yokuthi remainder in, right? So but write down the remainder when each of the first 7 terms of the sequence is divided by 3. So write down those first 7 terms. You have T1 which is minus 3, T2 which is 1, T3 which is 5, T4 which is 9, T5 13, T6 17, T7 is 21, right? So ama remainders now, remainders. When you divide minus 3 go 3, minus 3 uya ku minus 3 kayo 1, so there's no remainder there. So there's no remainder, that's why it's palu 0. And then now divide u3 go u1 go 3. 1 u3 akangeni ku 1, right? So because 3 can't go into 1, so we have 1 as our remainder, right? And then now divide u5 go 3 kusala u2, so 2 is our remainder there. 3 goes into 9 3 times, so there's no remainder there. 3 goes into 13 4 times, and then with the remainder of 1, right? So the remainder, when you say 3 divided by 13, there's a remainder there. 13 divided by 3, sorry, there's a remainder there. The remainder go 1, right? And then 3 goes into 17 5 times with the remainder of 2, right? 3 goes into 21 7 times, so there's no remainder there. Okay, so now I write down the remainders when you divide the first 7 terms by 3 bebafuna ukuthi uthole lokhu. Okay, so now sizoya ku question bani, question D, but they calculate the sum of the terms in the arithmetic sequence that are divisible by 3. So lana bafuna is sum of the terms that are divisible by 3, not the sum of all the terms. So from your sequence, select those terms which are divisible by 3. So those terms correspond to where a remainder yakho ingu 0. Right? So this one is divisible by 3, this one is divisible by 3, that one is divisible by 3, and the last term is divisible by 3, right? So this is the original sequence. From that original sequence, they want the sum of the terms that are divisible by 3. So from the original sequence, extract those terms which are divisible by 3, and uzobona ukuthi they form a sequence on their own, right? So ngisule utisompalala ngaphezulu. Okay, so from the original sequence, which terms are divisible by 3? Ilezi ngizibhalela ama-dot ngaphasi. So term 1 is divisible by 3. So the terms that are divisible by 3, they form a sequence on their own. So bhala leyo sequence leyo. So term 1 is divisible by 3. Term 4 is also divisible by 3. And then term 7 is divisible by 3. And then the last term is also divisible by 3. Right? Okay, so now you have a sequence of the terms that are divisible by 3. To get their sum, you now proceed the normal way, right? So now this is a normal sequence of terms that are divisible by 3. So the common difference between these terms is to move from -3 to 9, you have to add 12, right? And then to move from 9 to 21, you have to add 12. So a common difference here to lapha 12. And then our first term is equals to -3, right? So now you have to know how many terms are there in this sequence, right? Because we want to calculate Sn at the end of the day. So kumele sazi ukuthi n is equals to something. So kumele sifune u-n qala, right? So because this is an arithmetic sequence, the formula for Tn is a plus n minus 1 d. A is -3 and then d is 12. Okay, so Tn is equals to 12n minus 12 minus 3. So it's 12n minus 15, right? It's 12n minus 15. So now you have a formula for Tn. We want to calculate n first, right? So our last term is this one. Sifuna ukwazi ukuthi i-term number ngakhi in our sequence. So sizoba no 393 is equals to 12n minus 15. And now we solve for n. So toluti n is equals to 393 plus 15 divided by 12. And you find n is equals to 34. So there are 34 terms that are divisible by 3 in our original sequence. So we need to sum those terms. S34 is equals to 34 over 2 the first term plus the last term, right? The sum of those terms that are divisible by 3 is 6,630. Okay, then you are done with this question. I hope it makes sense. Okay, now we move to question 4. Now we move to question 4. Okay. Let me just copy question 4. Right, so we have question 4. Lana team. The sum of the n terms. The sum of n terms is given by this formula for Sn, but it determines T5. Right, so we are given Sn and then they want us to calculate T5. So what is T5? Let's say what is S5. So S5 is equals to the sum of the first 5 terms. So uzokubona ukuthi S5 is equals to T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 and plus T5, right? So thina bathi calculate u T5. So to calculate T5, you will take all these terms to the other side. So, but then if you look at these terms T1 plus T2 up to T4, uzokubona ukuthi this is S4, right? So lokho uzokutshela ukuthi T5 should be equals to S5 minus S4, right? Okay, so S5, ukuthi uthole S5 uzokusubstitute u5 in that formula for Sn. So uzoya lapha where there's n you put 5, uzokuthola ukuthi is 5 divided by 2, 1 plus 5. And then where S4, where there's n you put 4, 4 divided by 2, 1 plus 4, right? And then when you substitute this in your calculator, uzothola ukuthi it's 5. So T5 is equals to 5. So now in general, to calculate Tn when you are given the sum formula, Tn is equals to Sn minus Sn minus 1, right? In general, this is the formula for Tn when you are given a sum formula, right? An easy 3 marks there. Okay, now moving to question 5. Question 5. Okay, let's copy question 5. Right, so question 5 about T. 3x plus 1, 2x, 3x minus 7 are the first 3 terms of an arithmetic sequence. They tell us that we have an arithmetic sequence. Immediately you should think about Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 times d, right? Because it's an arithmetic sequence. But they calculate the value of x, right? So because we have an arithmetic sequence, this implies that we have a common difference, right? What does it mean to have a common difference? It means that if we take term number 2 and subtract term number 1, that should be the same as taking term number 3 and subtracting term number 2, because we have a common difference, right? So in our sequence, what is term number 2? Term number 2 in our sequence is 2x, and then we subtract term number 1, right? Term number 1 is 3x plus 1. So now when the calculations are so zama by all means ukuthi usebenzise ama brackets, right, when you substitute, because kulula ukwenza ama mistake when you have a negative sign. And yeah, uzama substitute with brackets. So that's T1, T3 is 3x minus 7 minus 2x. So 2x minus 3x minus 1 is equals to 3x minus 7 minus 2x. So ngapha sizoba no 2x minus 3x izosinikela minus x and our minus 1. And then lapha sizoba no 3x minus 2x, which is x, and then we have minus 7. Take this x to this side, uzoba no minus 2x. Take this minus 1 to that side, uzoba no minus 6. Therefore x is equals to 3 when you divide by minus 2 both sides, right? Another easy 3 marks there. Now to our last question, question 6. Okay. Question 6. Okay. So question 6 ibathi the first and second terms of an arithmetic sequence are 10 and 6 respectively, right? So lokho kutshela ukuthini ukuthi the first and second terms are 10 and 6. Lokho kutshela ukuthi asiye ku question A. Lokho kutshela ukuthi T1 is equals to 10, T2 is equals to 6, right? The first and second terms of an arithmetic sequence. Immediately you think about Tn is equals to a plus n minus 1 d, right? So calculate the 11th term of the sequence. So they tell you what T1 is 10. This means that a is equals to 10, and then T2 is equals to 6. Because it's an arithmetic sequence, we know what we have a common difference, and we can calculate it by saying term number 2 minus term number 1, right? Term number 2 is 6, term number 1 is 10. Therefore d is equals to minus 4. So our formula for Tn will be a plus n minus 1 d, right? A is 10, d is minus 4. So our formula for Tn will be minus 4, n plus 4 plus 10. It will be minus 4n plus 14. So what is T11? But to calculate the 11th term, T11. T11 is minus 4, n which is 11 plus 14. So this is, let's take our calculator, minus 4 times 11 plus 14 is minus 30, right? This is minus 30. So that is T11. So yeah, that's T11. Let's see, question B. Okay, question B bathini. Question B bathi the sum of the first n terms of these sequences minus 560, calculate n. So because we have an arithmetic sequence here, our formula for Sn is this one here, right? And then they tell us the sum of the n terms, first n terms is minus 560. They want us to calculate n. So now we are given Sn is 560, right? And then we know what a is the first term, in this case is 10, right? And then we've calculated the common difference from the previous question, it's minus 4, right? And then we'll have minus 560. When you divide by 2 in these brackets, we'll have 10 plus n minus 1 times minus 2. So minus 560 will be equals to 10n minus 2n squared plus 2n, right? Therefore, taking everything to one side, you'll have 2n squared minus 12n minus 560 is equals to 0. Dividing by 2, we'll have 280 minus 280 equals to 0. Right, so you have a quadratic equation, which means you can use the quadratic formula. Right, you can factorize if you can, and then I'll just use the quadratic formula. Right, okay, so n is equals to, let me substitute the calculator, 6 plus so ngithola ukuthi n is equals to 20, or n is equals to minus 14, right? So minus 14. So because we are counting the number of terms, n has to be greater than 0, right? So n has to be positive. Therefore, n should be equals to 20. Uzokuthola mark just for stating this, right? Yeah. So yeah, question 4 beku sort of like testa knowledge yakho yama arithmetic sequences, right? So ngizochubeka nokuchaza i-theory in the next coming videos about sequences. So this was just an exercise, right? So if usesekhona ungakuzwisisi ngo question 4, ungangithumela i-text lapho ku WhatsApp ungitshela ukuthi awuzwisisi kuphi, ngizame ukuthi ngikuchazele. Yeah, I think that's enough for this video. Yep.